I'm Jeremy from Weldtec Designs, and today I'm going to be reviewing your suspension videos and give you my 10 cents. I've been doing suspension for over 20 years at Weldtec Designs and have built thousands of vehicles, including vehicles built to take on the toughest terrain of Baja. All right, so this is Sumo Springs on a camper van, and this is just showing how the Sumo Spring is doing the job. However, I'm not a big fan of Sumo Springs. I think that if you did the correct shock in there, you wouldn't necessarily have to have that. Definitely makes a difference in there, but I'm gonna go with just running a better shock in there to take up and absorb that. I'm also able to control the rebound of it, and that's what a Sumo Spring is not going to do. It's not going to control the rebound or extension of your shock. If I can control the rebound of your shock, then it's going to have less bounce in your vehicle.
I'll be installing these Bilstein 4600s.
Looking at this driver's side rear, you can see the weenie Bilstein shock that's on there now. Yes, it is a factory installed Bilstein, but the body of it is so small.
And to show you exactly what I'm talking about, look at that. Look at the difference there. We have about a 49 millimeter shock body on the new shock. And if we transfer that over to the old shock, look at the difference. This shock has a 39 millimeter shock body. Weenie shocks out.
1 and 2 new shocks in.
The shocks aren't quite what I was hoping for.
So definitely going to a larger diameter shock is going to be beneficial. Having that monotube design, that's gonna have a larger piston in it than most twin tube designs. Now, one thing that I do like about the Fox or King shocks is they're 100% rebuildable, where this Bilstein, after its lifespan, you're not gonna be able to rebuild it. You can't change the amount of gas pressure in it as well, and there's no changing the valving in it if you're not particularly in love with it, depending on your vehicle application. So definitely a big improvement, but there's always something better. Any Bilstein shock is going to definitely be an upgrade depending on your budget. Because I feel like it's still like for $100, like you can't beat it, you know, like it is a good.
Did you know that you can experience a better ride for your van?
Wow, this does not look fun.
Vibration and body roll behind. Eliminate sag and sway.
So right there, I want to pause it right there because it says reduce sag and sway. And really, Sumo Springs are not made for carrying weight. They're just intended to reduce the energy transferred up into it. It's almost like having a secondary shock or bump stop, controlling it all on the compression side, depending on the diameter of the Sumo Spring that you go with. Let's finish watching the rest of this. Oh, I guess that was it. So we did capture the main points in that, just saying that it is going to reduce the sway. And yes, that is true. It may help reduce the sway, but so will a good set of Fox or King shocks. And that's because here at Weldtec Designs, we put a lot more rebound into that shock. So it's controlling it on the action side and the reaction side of your suspension, not just controlling the action side. That's what most Sumo Springs are going to do. They're just a larger bump stop, glorified bump stop. Yes, there's definitely advantages of them, but at the cost, is it truly worth it, or could you upgrade to a better shock?
You saw our video driving down the bumpy roads in Baja. We messed up our suspension.
We're getting it fixed.
Finding a good suspension shop in Baja is not hard. However, finding one that our van will fit in apparently is. Nope, still doesn't fit. But the tools reach, so it's a go. These guys were super nice and incredibly professional, and we even got to hang out in our van while they worked. 1 hour and $50 later, we're back on the road.
Well, that's the one thing about Baja. It's simply amazing. The people are amazing as well and super helpful. And $50 to repair your suspension, well, that's pretty awesome as well. Well, I'm gonna assume that they broke that lower control arm on there because they brought out a welder to do some welding repair. Well, that's the nice thing about the Weldtec Designs custom fabricated arm is it's going to be stronger than your stock OEM arm as well. Now, here's the other thing I did notice in this video is it does have the Bilstein struts on it. In my opinion, the Bilstein struts are a little bit too stiff and they lack the rebound control that this van really needs, especially when you get into these heavier weights. That's why I would definitely recommend going to a King coilover shock where you're going to be able to adjust it, take up those bumps and dips a lot better down in Baja, and don't forget to add the rear springs and shocks as well, because if you have a heavy build out, you're really going to benefit from a product like that at Weldtec Design.
On today's episode of you Ford, on a 2016 Ford Transit 3500 HD, you take off the struts. Yep, you guessed it. You have to take apart half of the dashboard to get to the bolts. You Ford.
All right, well, honestly, you don't have to take away half the dash, and especially on that driver's side. On that driver's side, you can simply reach up there and get to those bolts through access through the, like right above the brake pedal. Now on the passenger side, that's the one that's a little bit more difficult. You may have to take part of the glove box apart and a couple other things to get your hand up in there to get those nuts back on. But it's not nearly as difficult as it may seem. It's not that difficult, and if you want to see more, we'll make a video just how easy it is to get in there to get those bolts changed out.
Let's test this suspension's
Oh, I love airbags.
Can it withstand a knife? Ouch.
Well, yeah, it's an airbag. It's like a balloon.
Blast.
Wow. So here's the thing. There's two distinct differences between an airbag and a Sumo Spring. In an airbag, I'm going to use that in my vehicle when I'm adding significant amount of weight at one time in order to raise the rear of my vehicle back up. It's not an all the time air-filled situation where a Sumo Spring is going to be put in as a secondary shock or way to absorb energy that's going into my suspension. Now, I'm not a big fan of either one of these products, and I'm going to change out my leaf springs that are built out to the weight of my vehicle, and then I'm going to put a shock in that's going to be able to control the ride characteristics. So my spring holds my vehicle up to the weight. My shock is going to control the ride. It's going to control compression and rebound, where both of these are just controlling how fast something compresses. Not my first choice, but I know that a lot of you have been told that's the way to go. We're doing it different here at Weldtec Designs because we're driven further. Ooh, that's sexy. Yeah, dude. Love it. It just makes me want to go drive. Well, you know what all those vehicles have in common? They're all running King shocks on them, right? Because King is one of the most trusted shocks in the world, put on the most expensive race cars around. And if you want your Ford Transit to handle, well, maybe not quite as good as that, but you want the best performance available from it, well, we have those King shocks here at Weldtec Designs for your van. Ooh, yeah, we got a Ford Transit going off-road, and I've actually seen this guy, super cool, and he's showing the benefits of a locker in the rear of his Ford Transit, and that's huge because you don't want to lose traction, because you can see that he's just spinning those back tires.
Traction control off.
He's stuck.
Locker on.
And what's going on here is because without a locker in the rear of your van is going to put power to the wheel of least resistance. So having that locker, now he has that driver's side wheel engaged, and it's going to get him out. Now, another thing that you could do on a van like this is run a set of Weldtec Designs progressive leaf springs. It's going to have more articulation than the stock spring, and that may have kept that passenger side tire on the ground without the need of a locker. However, Lockers are awesome. I would definitely recommend doing that if you have a two-wheel drive or all-wheel drive van. Definitely a cool van, and look forward to seeing more of this guy off-roading. Ooh, another Ford Transit, having some fun. A little ass dragging never hurt anybody. Now that's definitely really cool, and many of you probably are not going to go to the extreme of off-roading your Ford Transit like that. That does have a straight axle in the front end, so you're going to get a lot more articulation and a lot more travel from something like that. Maybe it could have benefited from a set of Weldtec Designs springs, but overall it looks like he's out having some fun, and that's definitely what we all want to do in our Ford Transit. Driven further. Well, that was definitely a lot of fun reacting to some killer videos out there on the internet. If you have a fun video you want us to do a fun little review, hit us up, send it to us, or maybe we'll just find it out there in YouTube land. I'm Jeremy from Weldtec Designs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.